There they are. Daniel, we missed you. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
How is everyone? Donald, you look fly. You look happy. Yeah. You're not wearing your drinks. You're not wearing your sweatshirt. Your Mickey Mouse sweatshirt. It's too hot for the Mickey Mouse sweatshirt.
It's like 175 degrees outside right now.
It's so hot, but I love it.
It's Tatooine hot.
It's hot. It's hotter where you live, though. You live on Mars.
I don't live on Mars. I live on Tatooine.
Yeah.
The dual suns.
I've been to your house. Casey said for your birthday, she's like, I don't think we should have everybody over before 4. And I was like, why? It's a birthday barbecue, of course. And she's like, you'll see. And then I got there at like 4. I was like, fuck, it's hot.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit bored in LA. Can we say this? Well, you're a single person.
Like Kendrick Lamar. Hey, what?
I believe that it was Chris Rock who said married and bored. Oh, wait, is it single and lonely? Married and bored. Married and bored?
What?
Single and, what's the saying, Donald?
Hey, what?
What's the saying?
Married and bored, single and lonely.
Yeah, I think LA really magnifies that. Because I'm not saying you're bored if you're married in LA, don't get me wrong. But these people with their kids and they got the basketball game and then we got to do this.
Bro, you can eat a dick.
No, I'm just saying you have so much to do.
Just stop.
You have so much to do, you don't have time to realize you're bored.
Stop it, Zach. Stop it, Zach.
That's why you got to take your friends out on dates.
I know.
That's what I've been doing lately. I just call my friends.
What do you do? What's your when you're single in LA? And what's your trick to not be bored because all your friends are taking their kids to basketball tournaments?
I just want to tell you,
so
Zach.
Much.
I'm from a different generation. None of my friends have children. My very first friend is pregnant, except the ones I left in high school. All of my adult friends, no babies. So it's a little different. So we're constantly just calling each other, being like, "Let's go do something." I'm just always out with my single friends. Like, where are we going next? I just take them out.
I'm going to be honest with you, Zach. I'm going to be honest with you. You stayed single too long, and now all of your freaking single friends are freaking married with kids, and you sitting here having to freaking understand, why you got to freaking be done with the podcast by 3:30, or why you got to, or you have to understand, wait, you're going to Anaheim this weekend again for basketball? You got to understand these things. This is what happens when you commit to something.
Right.
And
I hear you. And I'm not
in something.
When you put your seed, you put a lot of seed into a lot of things.
I put seed everywhere.
You just threw seed like a gardener on a lawn.
Yay! See,
your seed was like, you know that thing they put the machine, they fill it with seed and then they roll it. That's what your seed did.
Y'all are wild.
Well, I guess this is my long-winded way of saying when you are single, New York City is a whole lot more fun than LA. That's just my
good
my
to
hot
know.
take.
What makes New York more exciting? Because I do be getting bored out here sometimes. Everything's so spread out.
Thank you, Joelle. It took you a moment to fucking give me an amen.
Sorry.
It's just in New York. There's pedestrians. I don't know if you've heard of this, but in other cities they have pedestrians.
People walk on the sidewalks?
Yeah, you can walk places and you can run into people and you can be like, oh, hey, Tony, good to see you. Do you want to grab a drink and catch up? Can you imagine that? And
we have to plan a month in advance.
It's just way more. It's just way more social, and and even if you don't have anything going on, you just walk around and people watch, and you just, there's just so much to do just walking around and looking at the world. And I think in LA, there are a couple neighborhoods that have where you can walk around, but I don't live in one, and I just find it a bit isolating. I'm sure people can relate if you're not in a relationship and you don't have kids, and you're not in your 20s or whatever partying like a crazy, I think it gets a little bit boring.
You know what you need, man?
What?
An animation room.
My God.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, maybe I do need a hobby. That's another thing. My hobby is like going to the arts and seeing things in New York. I see so many plays and I just wander into galleries and that shit.
It's not the same out here. I've been to several theaters.
Your diagnosis
is
that I need a girlfriend? That's your diagnosis?
Girlfriend, bro. It's that I'm telling you. You need or a friend. You need somebody to go out there.
Damn, dude.
No, but friends. But like a friend that you can hang out with and kiss on and
a girirlfriend. I don't want to kiss on someone. I don't want to kiss on someone who's not a girlfriend.
Well,
you remember, hey, this is Jim. Well, I'm not gay. I'm not gay, but we hang out and I kiss on him.
I was trying to be general with everyone. You need somebody to get out there with,
right?
And enjoy these hobbies.
Yeah,
these things that you like.
I think I need to cuff up, as they say. When's cuffing season, Joelle?
That starts in November. No, it's not.
Oh, November.
You're not trying to cuff in the heat. Gross.
Yeah, it's too
cuffing
hot.
Season is for the winter. Listen,
I ain't afraid of the sweat. I ain't afraid of the sweat.
Donald, the idea of cuffing
like a true
season
married person.
is that it's cold and you can no longer see bodies. You're like, I don't know what these people look like under their giant coats. I don't know what's really happening under masks and hats. It's time to cuff and choose one for the winter.
I thought cupping season was the sound of the sweat.
No, it's cuffing like you throw handcuffs on a person, right?
Oh, I thought it was cupping like when the sweat cup the two bodies get together.
Cuffing.
And it's like
when you go to cupping therapy and you get those bruises on your back.
Yeah, and you get the bruises on your back.
Doesn't it come from like you're putting handcuffs on someone, you're cuffing them?
I believe that is the idea. It's like we are now connected to one another. We have cuffed each other, yes.
Yeah.
We should probably change that language.
I don't know that I'm ready to cuff up, or maybe I will. I mean, if I met the right person, I would cuff early. I don't want to wait till November.
You get the right one, you got it immediately.
I'm fine to cuff early.
Get your cuff on, yo.
Yeah, is July too early to cuff, Joelle? You think it's too hot?
I think the summer is for playing the board and following the truck for
all right.
landing the plane. But do you if you're like, hey,
no,
this
I'm
going to
take Joelle's advice. I'm gonna wait to cuff. I'm just a bit bored.
Couple more months
I'm just a bit bored. I think I just got to get out of here.
Back to New York.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here because there's nothing to do here. All my friends are cuffed and they have little cufflings. They take their little cufflings to basketball tournaments and don't want to do anything. So wait, can you correct something for me? I don't understand this controversy about LeBron's son.
It's nepotism.
Are haters saying that? Are the haters saying, and I don't know anything about basketball, that he's not good enough to be on the team?
No, that's not true. They're just saying
yes.
No, that's not.
That's what they're saying. They're absolutely saying that.
That's not what they're saying.
That's not one person is saying that, and not one serious person about sports who understands sports is saying that.
What are they saying?
Fucking haters are saying that. But the thing is,
fans chime in.
He's good, but nobody's ever been the 55th pick in the draft and has gotten this much hype. So because LeBron is
not just this much hype, Donald, this much money. Right? He got a fat check. He's got a heart condition.
It's nepotism, man. Listen.
Yes.
Listen, I'm going to keep it 100. If you're going to bet on anybody, aren't you going to bet on LeBron's kid? The kid who's been going through the training his whole life.
We didn't bet on Michael Jordan's children.
Michael Jordan's kids didn't do what LeBron's kids did.
They went to college. They played.
Let's see how this pans.
And MJ didn't.
Let's see how this pans out. Let's see how this pans out. Give it the 3 years, 4 years situation. Let's see how this pans out. I think a lot of people are gonna be like, "Yo, man, I was wrong. LeBron is pretty good, man. Bronny Jr. I guarantee it. You can already see the kid has.
Is his name LeBron Jr.?
Yes.
And they call him Bronny. That's his nickname. I need to be educated on this. All right. Are you ready, Donald? Do you know Aisha Tyler?
We've hung out a couple of times.
Now, I want to ask her the very first question that's on my mind, and I'm very excited because Aisha covers a lot of subjects that you like, including video games and Star Wars and animation. And you saying there's never any black people on Friends.
Well, Well, that's the one thing I want to talk to her about. She freaking broke the Matrix. Everybody's like, wait a second. Wait, whoa.
Let's count us in, Donald. Count us in, baby girl.
5, 6,
Here's
7, 8.
some stories about a show we made. About a bunch of docs and nurses and a janitor who loved to hate. I said, here's the stories that you all should know. So gather round to hear our Scrubs Rewatch show with Zach and Donald.
Yeah.
Oh, snap. She's in the booth.
Wow.
What? Hi, guys.
Why
Oh
have
my
you
God.
not aged 1 hour? What the fuck?
Oh,
Zach,
I've been
do we have
adrenochroming.
to
I don't know
tell
if you
you
guys have
this
heard about
every-
adrenochroming. It's so great.
What did you
you're
say?
adrenochroming.
What's adrenochroming?
Oh, drinking baby's blood. You know. Check out the internet.
You look 21 years old, and I have aged, and you haven't.
You look as handsome as ever, radiating masculine energy through my computer. The both
to
of
the
you.
program. That's Donald, and that's our DJ Daniel's our engineer. That's Joelle Monique, our producer.
Hi, guys. Hi.
We're so happy to have you. We have so many things to ask you about. It's so good to see you. There's so many areas where our lives overlap. Most importantly, we want to start right off the bat because Donald has always said that there were no black people on Friends.
You broke the Matrix.
You broke the
Friends
Matrix. And Donald has. We were gonna when we finished doing a Scrubs rewatch program, we said maybe we should watch Friends, and Donald said no. Aisha's the only black person that's ever been on Friends.
He vetoed it immediately.
Tell us about
there
that.
There were other black people on Friends. Like, now I realize that they might have been stress testing the concept, right? Because Gabby Union was on for one episode, and she also dated Joey, right? And then I literally just the other day, I realized that Sherry Shepherd was on there. I'm not quite sure, but she was, right? So they kept dipping their toe into the tepid waters of diversity and pulling back.
You telling me Sherry Shepherd had more than one scene on Friends?
It was probably just one scene.
Yeah,
and there was a black guy. There were a couple black people at the office, right? Joelle, I feel like Joelle is the authoritative person on this.
Joelle knows pop
I watched
culture.
a ton of Friends. Why can't I think of her name? The dark skin.
Yeah,
Janet
that's
Hubbard.
why.
Dark skin,
That's
but
why.
Viv was on it, and she was great too. But it's a lot of like most of I think all except for maybe you, Aisha, had like is one episode kind of feature.
Yeah,
like a guest spot. Yeah.
Aisha, tell us about your experience on that just right off the bat because I think it's the most. It's got to be the most popular sitcom of all time. It seems to me, and
it still is. I think. Yeah,
it keeps going.
Yeah.
Every generation continues to find it, and I wondered if you had a good time. What was it like?
I did. I mean, I did have a good time. You know, Donald's protestations to the side. I mean, like it was the biggest show on TV at that time, and I was very confident I wasn't going to get the job. So that was cool. You know what I mean? Like I know sometimes you go and you're like, well, this is going to be fun. I'll get to meet some friends. I'm never going to work here. So maybe I was a little bit more relaxed than other people. But I do remember very vividly that at the time I was doing stand-up full time, which meant that I was a vampire. So, you know, you stay out till 2 a.m, you sleep until 10 or 12, you have 2 bowls of Cocoa Puffs, you watch some cartoons. And then I would watch the Friends reruns, right, from 5 to 6 o'clock on like KTLA 5. So by the time, Joelle knows what I'm talking about. So by the time that I went in for the audition, the only thing I did know was that I had seen every episode of Friends.
That's good. That's good prep.
And you guys are both, you know, extraordinary comedic actors. And so, you know, like comedy and specifically like sitcom comedy is its own animal. It has its own math.
I never got callbacks for them because I couldn't figure out the math. I mean, I think
study
until you were the star of a massive hit show.
No, but I mean,
I'm
not being self-deprecating. I had been in theater. I had done plays, but I never. I mean, and I'm not saying that I couldn't if I tried now. But
every time you've been on a sitcom, you crush. But okay,
thank you. But I never, in auditioning for them, I never could quite get that rhythm right
because you weren't studying back then. It's very specific. And Aisha did it. She would come on. She said it. You said it yourself. You would get off the stage, go home, and watch sitcoms.
But it's funny because it was so. Even looking back at it now, I think, and that show is still so popular. there's such a specificity to 4-camera comedy, even different from like Scrubs, which was single camera, and you guys could be more naturalistic and you had a lot more kind of like character stuff. That was just like, it had this really specific cadence. So all I knew going in was like, well, I know how to tell a Friends joke. That's all I knew. I was like, I know how this joke is supposed to sound,
That's
right?
great.
Whether I'm going to do it well or not, or whether they're going to like me, I know how to tell it.
Yeah.
And I remember that I walked in, and I know you guys have had this experience. I walked in and there was just like so many fucking famous people there. And I was not one of them. And like, Lisa Bonet was down the hallway. I was like, well, I just need to get back in the car and go to McDonald's.
I've had
this
that
is never going to
experience.
happen for me.
I've had the exact opposite experience.
Where you were the most famous person?
Yeah, where my manager was like, this is the worst. My manager was like, it's a special audition. It's just going to be you, no one else, you and the director. It's going to be such a great audition. They want to just see you. I walked in. It was me and a lot of people that were not working yet, but were on their way. And it was for like the casting director. And I was like, I got to get rid of this fucking manager, bro.
He was tricksy. He was trying to trick you.
I always used to get so in my head when I was auditioning and I'd sit in the waiting room. This back before I got Scrubs and was not known yet. And I would sit in the waiting room and I'd look around at just the most handsome men in the world. And I'd be like, I'm not going to get this part, I don't think, because I don't look like that. And then occasionally I would hear them through the wall doing their audition, and I'd be like, "Oh, maybe I have a shot because they can't act."
Right, they're very handsome, but cannot string a full sentence together with all of the required parts and the period at the end.
I'd be like, okay, well, maybe it's like 1-to-1 right now because he looks like that, but he's not funny at all.
How did he get up the stairs? How did he navigate the elevator buttons? Yes,
well,
sometimes
I will say
helpful.
this is a great segue. Well, we can still talk about Friends, but to be able to do voiceover and also be able to be physical and natural with your movement and to hear and listen, but to be able to do voiceover and know specifically what the cadence and what the rhythm of the comedy is supposed to be helps a lot. And you two are both very, very, very good at voiceover, and that I think that helps you both.
I love it so much. I wonder, Aisha, how you found such a lane in that, because you're very popular in that space. And how did that kind of come about?
Oh, magic. I mean, so much of this business, I mean, sure, you have to train and you have to be good, but we all know brilliant people who don't work and we know ding-dongs who do, right? So like a lot of it is just, trying to be ready, and then hopefully like the window cracks open and you burst through, and hopefully you have pants on when you do it. I literally, like, it was like this. It was just one thing. It was just Archer. That was the thing that opened everything else. And it was an offer. So like, I can't claim any magic about, I went in, I wowed them.
Wow.
They knew me maybe from Talk Soup. I do remember that when I was doing Talk Soup, I was obsessed with Sealab 2021. For people who haven't seen it, this was a show that these guys did before Frisky Dingo. And they took an old show from the 70s. It was called Sealab 2020. And they just like revoiced all the characters. So it was like the same animation.
That sounds hilarious.
Oh, it was brilliant. And like, they lived at this Sealab under the sea, obviously, and they were all insane. So like, that was what you would be if you lived under the sea for any extended amount of time.
That's a great concept, by the way.
One of the guys had a girlfriend.
Sorry to interrupt you, but that concept needs to be
it should be brought back.
Find some old ass animation and then just revoice it with funnier new shit.
Absolutely. And like, one of the guys had a girlfriend who was made out of a mop and a bucket, and he would have sex with her like in a closet, and like everybody was always fighting and like eating off the ground. I mean, it was genius. So I would talk about it all the time on, maybe that's how they knew about me, because I couldn't stop talking about Sealab 2021. And so when I got the script and I read it, I was like, okay, this is way too smart and funny to ever actually become a series. It's never going to go. So I'm going to just get to go to Atlanta and kick it with the Sealab 2021 guys and like steal some Frito chips out of the pantry at the voiceover facility and fly back to LA. And that was it. I was like, this is never going to happen. And I remember when it went, Adam Reed called me, and like, we had a full 10 minutes of like just laughter, because we were like, this is wild. Like, none of us expected this. And then it went 14 seasons, but no credit to me. That show is, in my opinion, the best written and the most beautifully animated adult cartoon ever.
I have to confess something that's going to make Joelle tear up, but I've never seen Archer. And
Joel's already disappointed in you for 100 other reasons.
Daniel clicked back on to shake his head. And I know this. You know why I'm embarrassed to say it? I have had so many people who have the same taste as I. We have a shared sense of humor who say, why are you not watching Archer? You would love Archer.
You would love it.
I'm really, I think I'm going to finally give it a try because
it will shock you. It will. I mean, like even if I wasn't on it, I would say it will shock you with how extraordinary it is. And like, even being on it, like sometimes I'll see something like, oh, we did that. Oh shit. Cause the show is like, I mean, it's like super edge.
Is it on PC?
It's high edge. I mean, it's edgelord.
Edgelord. Okay, good. I like edgelord.
You'll see.
Donald loves to be edged. Aisha.
Wait,
who
before
doesn't
we go,
love an edgelord?
Hold on. Do you remember E? Network?
Yeah, I remember E. Yeah, absolutely.
That's where it started, right?
That's where you jumped off, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that real quick, because that's real. It's real dope. First of all, you were the first Black person to host Talk Soup. The first woman to host Talk Soup.
Yes.
I mean, you went all in, right? Like straight up, like let's go. That's a lot of pressure.
I'll tell you a story about how that went that I think will be illustrative. So I was a full-time stand-up at the time, and I saw that they were looking for a host, and I had loved that show. I was a fan of the show, and I wanted
I used to love that show too.
Oh, it was such a great show, and had such a great premise.
I never watched it until you were on it.
Oh, thanks, Don.
So
see, Donald just repping the culture out here. Just straight repping the culture.
That's
true. At all places.
That's true. The only Friends episode he watched was the ones you were on.
I love it. So I wanted to audition for it, and my manager at the time was like, they'll never hire a Black girl. I was like, okay, thanks for your belief in me. And I got my agents to submit me for it. And again, it was just a thing where I knew the show, so I knew how to tell a Talk Soup joke, but they wouldn't hire me because I wasn't famous enough. And so, but I was looking at the people they were putting on there. I was like, y'all, you need to work on your barometric standards. But I was a regular at the time on the show the precursor to Real Time, Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher, which was on CBS. So I had done a bunch of like comedic television appearances. I was like, I got them to give me one. And they were giving everybody a week. They gave me one episode. They gave me one episode to show what I could do. And I went on. And I just and I did, especially back then, but I still do, kind of like a college dude sense of humor. And it just worked. It just clicked with the fans. And they wrote in, like literally I got written onto that show. They were like, we got more fan mail for you than anybody else who's done this show. So I got voted in because nobody over there believed in me. And I had so many executives, dudes be like, I don't know, man, like the fans, all white boys, how is that going to work? I was like, white boys, look at me. White boys love me.
Right. I was going to say, what? Are you kidding?
What's wrong with you, dude? I am literal. White boy made me in a computer. Look at me.
Wow. White boy made me in a computer. That's hilarious.
Literally, like Weird Science 2 was about me. So, but it was
weird. They should make that.
It was a great experience.
Donald and I would be there for Weird Science 2. So wait, I'm just remembering. It all started with Greg Kinnear. That's what started his career.
Greg Kinnear, and then it was John
Henson.
John Henson, and then Hal Sparks, and then me. And I saw John Henson in the Ralphs on La Brea and 3rd. You know that Ralph's?
Yeah.
Like in the produce section. And this was after Hal Sparks, so he'd been off for a while. And he was like, I'm so excited for you. I really want you to get this job. I'm going to call him.
Why did they kick him off? What did happen to him?
John, he left to do other stuff.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was, like everybody.
He was really good. I really liked him too.
Great. He's such a great guy. Like,
is he a stand-up still? What does he do these days?
I'm not in the stand-up like community. I'm not like I like rejected him and just like wandered off to do other stuff. Right. But I know he was hosting the Wipeout. I think he was hosting Wipeout for a while.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
You know, the one where everybody gets popped in the face with the
with the
muddy
fist out of nowhere.
Yes, like the version of the Japanese show. But so I'm sure he still tours. He was just like a very generous soul, and I remember like really encouraging to me. And I'm actually on great terms with all those guys. They're
that was
people.
Before the social media craze, wasn't it?
Yes,
so
it was. There was no Twitter.
Yeah, I feel like that show would be tough now because the jokes were such that.
It was Twitter. It was like
it was like snarky jokes.
Twitter jerk. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was finding all of the memes, all of that stuff, and putting it up there and talking about it, and then writing the comments underneath it. But the host was the comments.
Are you still, Aisha? Are you still on Twitter?
You know what? So here's what happened. Like I left it and then I left it a second time, but I didn't want to abandon my handle because I don't want somebody to squat it. So I still have it. And then it's hard to leave what is like a built up, puddle of value, people who follow you, people who want to support you. So I didn't want to abandon them. So I post very occasionally. Yeah. But I don't spend most of my time there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I used to love it, man. I used to. Just
I know you were really active. I used to be really active on it too, and I have to say I turned it on recently just to see what was happening, and what
was happening? Was it burning? Was it a burning dumpster fire?
It's pretty intense over there. Yeah, I would say that it's a city.
It's the stuff that you didn't see before because there was so much other positive stuff happening. Like all the positive stuff's gone, so you pretty much are just seeing like the dregs.
Yeah, I would definitely say that the snark and sass and sarcasm and anger. If you took all those dials and just like a mixing board and pushed them all to the top, so it's not a very pleasurable spot for me.
I used to really enjoy Twitter. I used to love it.
We were talking about hate earlier and how LeBron James's son is being, I think he's the most hated kid. I mean, granted, the kid got paid a lot of money, but I think he's the most hated kid in sports right now. And
that's just envy, though, isn't it?
He's got to prove himself.
I feel like it's the same thing. And I feel like if I'm a bet on anyone, I think this is the kid to bet on, don't you?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Well, people are kind of giving him like the kind of the Nepo baby thing, but he's an athlete. Like he still had to prove himself. And if he washes out, he's going to wash out on his own terms. He's still got to show and prove. And I feel like an athlete, the son of an athlete, even more than the son of somebody in another, area of work, they still have to train. They still and they're being raised by someone who understands what it takes physically to get that level of excellence. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And one of Joel's things was like, well, Michael Jordan's kids didn't make it. I don't think Michael Jordan's kids wanted to play basketball. This kid wants to play basketball.
Yeah, I think some kids are like, I don't want that for myself. Good. Yeah.
And he wants to be great. So me personally, I bet on this young man, and we'll see what happens in a few years and how well he does.
We also don't know if Jordan was like, pulling a King Richard or was like, do what you want. Because it does seem like LeBron was like, one of you is going to play basketball.
Right. One of you is going to get there.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. One of you might get out here and pick this ball up. And that kid self-selected to be the one. And
even the youngest boy.
Be a poet.
Even the youngest boy, Bryce, this boy's killing. He's on Team USA.
Well, what did you expect? I mean, there's so much of this whole Nepo baby criticism out there. Even when there's extreme talent.
Kids? Do you guys both have kids?
I do.
I have Donald's kids.
Oh, that's nice. Share. I don't, and I won't. But I wonder if I did, whether I would be pushing them towards what I do I don't know whether I'd be pushing them towards what I do for a living or whether I'd be encouraging them to do something else. Because this is such a disappointing and tough business. I might be like, no, go be a lawyer.
I would never tell my kids to get into entertainment. I mean, I don't know.
What if they came to you and said, I want to do what you do? What would you say?
I would never stop them because my parents certainly never said a single sentence that was negative about me pursuing my dreams. But I do think it's a whole lot harder in 2024 than it was in 1997 when I graduated college.
Oh, young buck.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know that you can ever, poo-poo your child's dream. But I don't know. I think it's very, very. The odds are so much harder, I think, even than they were back in the day. To me,
if the question is nepotism, I don't have a problem with young kids becoming actors because of watching what their parents did, and if they've developed their talent from their parents and watching their parents. Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I don't think
the fans think there's anything wrong with that either.
Well, there's some people who complain about it, but I always think, so you're telling me this beautiful woman and this beautiful man who are both talented came together and they made a child, and the child happens to be good looking and has some natural ability. Why is that surprising to anyone? Why?
Right.
I think it's
beyond that too, which is that, excuse me, which is that this business is not really that merit driven, right? There's a certain amount of like merit involved, but it's not really a meritocracy. So on the business side, they're looking for a leg up, right? They're looking for a way to kind of hedge their bets. So if they're going to hire a kid and that name is familiar to audiences, they're going to hire that kid because they feel like there's going to be a built-in curiosity or maybe even audience for that kid over this other talented person with no name. But it's always been that way. Since the beginning of the industry.
When has it been different? When has it?
Yeah, exactly. You know it's always been that way.
Judy Garland's children all the way down. You know what I mean?
But if the kid can't perform, they're not going to get very far at all.
Yeah, they're not getting. Well, they might get further. They'll eventually hit a wall. But we got a couple people rolling around out there who could probably hit the boards.
I just feel like LeBron. Okay, so let's say nepotism gets LeBron's son in, and obviously he's very talented, but he's not going to go very far if he ends up being horrible, right?
Yeah, he'll wash out like everybody else. Especially in athletics. I think in acting you could go a lot further, but I think in pro,
you can't hide. I mean, he got the money. But you can't hide ability. They'll send him to the G League for that whole contract if he doesn't pan out.
What's the G League? What happens there?
That's where they send kids who aren't yet developed enough to play in the NBA.
That's kind of like minor leagues, like the double A's.
Oh, I never even knew there was a G League.
Where do they play? They're like the Compton Knickerbockers.
No, LA actually has a team, so they play in Staples. They play,
Oh wow!
They not all the time, but they play in arenas.
All right, we got to take a quick break.
Okay,
we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we have many.
Oh, this is like a real radio show.
Yes.
We're taking a break.
Yeah, we're going to take a break, and you're going to be so surprised about this break. I'm going to tell you about it during the break. Here we go.
Wait.
Audience, are you ready? These are commercials, but they're really, really good ones. Listen. And we're back.
Oh, y'all can't believe what happened in that break.
Yes, there was some crazy stuff.
Gosh.
There was some crazy. Well, that's where we do all the X-rated Patreon stuff.
Yeah, you're never going to see it or hear it if you don't get behind this paywall.
Yeah, you got to get behind the paywall to hear us talk X-rated. I was on a podcast recently, and he said, "Okay, now for the Patreon 5 questions or something," and I was like, "Wait, so?" These people have to pay to hear these questions, and which was what the implication was. So I can't imagine what Donald and I would hide behind a Patreon wall.
I mean,
probably all the content Joelle makes us. Probably all the content Joelle makes us cut.
All the stuff that we gotta cut.
Joelle is like the den mother who's like, okay, that was a good show. I'll be cutting this. We actually record for 7 hours, audience, to make an hour program for you.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I love it. I was like, just like fake doctors after dark.
Yeah. Aisha, tell us about video games. Do you still play? Are you an avid player still?
It's very painful. This is a painful point because I'm not, but not for lack of wanting to be. I just don't have the same bandwidth that I had when I was gaming, like when I was coming home after work and playing until 4 a.m. And so and I just did this show called Star Players where they were like, do you still game? And I was like, well, I still play games, but I don't have the time for really good meaty console gaming. So I'm inside New York Times games. I'll just do threads and
I don't think that community wants to hear about Wordle.
Wordle, I got it. Wordle, come at me, bro. But I really want to go back and play some of my favorites. I really want to go back because there's a remaster of The Last of Us, and I loved that game. I played it when it came out, and then obviously the series was incredible. Daniel loves Wordle, yeah, and so do I, Daniel.
Daniel, you can join the show. Why are you being?
Daniel feels left out. Why you made Daniel stand in the corner with his nose on the wall? He wants to participate.
You don't have to hide.
Shy.
No, we don't have to hide, Daniel. We make him turn his mic off because his house is loud, but he can participate, Daniel.
Aisha, remember when you said white boys love you? Daniel's being shy.
I'm catnip for white boys.
Daniel,
look at him. He's so red.
Daniel's blushing. Ever since Daniel,
it.
just so the audience know, Daniel had his screen off, and then because he wanted to participate, he changed his screen name to Daniel Loves Wordle, so he could sneak back into the conversation.
I play every day. I play all the games every day.
But
so
actually,
I
we need
Wordle fine, but
I
like the other New York Times games.
We need
Connections is the best.
Strands, Connections.
Oh God, Daniel's
spelling. I do Bee Buddy spelling
go.
bee every day with my Bee Buddy. I love
Aisha, it's actually good Daniel's in here because he's our resident video game expert. What other games did you really love when you played?
So Halo was the gateway, right? So I played a lot of Halo. I probably played like 500 or 600 hours of Halo and the Halo family, especially like 3 in Reach. I was in Reach. I voiced a character in Reach. And then Gears of War is also one of my favorite games. And I also voiced, voice for the DLC for Gears of War 3. And then The Last of Us, which I think is one of the most beautiful video games ever created. I'm like so emotional, in fact, so filmic that I had to stop playing for a while because Ellie kept dying and I was like getting emotionally jacked up. I was like, I can't keep this kid alive. I can't take it anymore. But then when I watched the show and it was so beautifully done, I was like, man, I want to go back and play that game again. So that's like first on my list when I get a couple of weeks of downtime. And then I love actually The Walking Dead. Remember The Walking Dead, like the tablet version of the game?
One?
Did anybody play that? Yes.
Oh,
it was so good.
It's so good. It's so fun.
So good.
I know that every time I'm like, I can't. Everyone's gonna die. There's just no way.
Oh my God! And you remember people are like, when you finish that game, you're gonna cry. It's like, bro, I don't cry about shit, man. I'm a rock. I'm a stone. I'm dead inside.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, why are they doing this?
My buddy was
me?
like, oh, did you finish that game? I was like, shut up.
Got it. Now I understand what these shows are about. Got it. It's not about the zombies and the killing. It's your connection to the love. Oh my gosh. I'm fucking sitting here like, I ain't watching what the fuck is Walking Dead? It's a bunch of zombies. No, it's because you love this character so much.
Those shows are not about the zombies. They're about survival of relationship of characters. And all those shows, zombie shows, ask the question, are we essentially good or are we essentially bad? That is the question behind every zombie show. If all the rules of society fall away, would we default to an essentially good nature? Are humans good?
What do you think? What's your answer?
I think about this a lot because if you want to look around at where we are right now on the planet, I do think about it a lot. I actually think that human beings are essentially good, and I'll tell you why. As much horrible things as are happening and have happened in the history of the planet, and as much disappointing things as are happening now, you walk outside, people are walking down the street, people are picking up the shit behind their dogs, people are putting on their seatbelts, people are queuing at the supermarket, people are paying their bills, people are taking care of their children. For the most part, human beings default to a collective good mode. Now, there are outliers and there are moments where people don't. But I think about that a lot. We're all driving our cars in the same direction. We're all stopping at the stop sign. We all say please and thank you. That is almost all of us here. And if we were essentially bad, the world would not be working at all. We would all still be in caves and like banging rocks together and like murdering our neighbor to take their like turnips. So, and I think that honestly, to crib from Martin Luther King, the long arc of social justice does trend towards the good. We have made a lot of progress, which is why the forces of evil are working so hard to push us back, because they see that they are, and I'm not speaking in a biblical term, I'm just like actual evil people are, see that there's been all this progress for people of color, all this progress for women, all this progress for the downtrodden and the unrepresented. And they don't like that. They liked it when they were on top. And that's why they're fighting so hard to hold on to their position of power, because they know it's a losing battle and it's almost over.
Do you want to take over the Democratic presidency and run for office? Because you're very good, and we're in a bit of dire straits currently.
We are in dire straits. Did you see so there was a poll. Kamala's essentially neck and neck, which means that, she's got a path. But they said that the Democrat that pulls 10 points ahead of Trump is Michelle Obama. So everybody just needs to start a letter writing campaign.
I know, and every time that comes up, everyone's like, you have no idea how much that woman hates politics.
Michelle, for America.
There's no way in hell.
She knows what it entails, right? She knows exactly.
Don't you feel like Barack?
She watched her husband go from a handsome young man to a handsome old young man in 8 years, dude. She's like, get the fuck out of here.
Don't you think Barack would be like, should we?
I guarantee you that they have talked about it. I mean, I don't know what they've said, but when you see something like that and she's definitively pulling 10 points ahead of Trump, like without even being in the race, it is very seductive. And she does know what the job entails. And we get two precedents for one, obviously. But I also think about like, you know what it entails, and you only have to do it for 4 years. You could just do it for the 4 years to get us out of this specific kind of predicament that we're in. Like, how much would you sacrifice to save the world, right? Because that's what it really feels like. It doesn't just feel like America. It feels like Western democracy and our allies and freedom is what we're fighting for right now. And I don't know. I think she's a good person. I hope that she's at least contemplating it seriously. But I used to talk with my friends a lot about the presidency and about how everybody goes in being like, I'm going to solve hunger. I'm going to end war. I'm going to save the babies. I'm going to stop global, climate change. And then think about the White House as like somebody's actual house. And you buy the house and you don't know what's in there, but it looks real nice from the outside. It's got big grounds and a rose garden. And then you go into the house and it's yours now. It don't belong to the last year, it belongs to you. And you open the door to the basement and it's piled all the way up to the sill with bodies. Yeah. Right? And you just go, oh shit, there's no way I can clean this mess up.
Yeah, that's why
and if I even tell people these bodies are in here, they're going to blame them all on me. So slam this door.
I always think about young Barack going into the White House, and like a week later, he was gray. It was like, It was like they must have told him some shit.
Everything they got a book. Everything you think you know. You just do not
he looked
know.
like he aged 10 years in a week.
Yo, black don't crack unless you're the president of the United States. Straight up.
All right, let's get off politics. I want to talk to you about, you used to host a lot of these video game, what were they, like events, conferences?
Oh, like E3?
Yeah, did you enjoy doing that?
Yeah, it was super fun. I mean, I was one of the only women to have done it before or since. And they were like press conferences. So E3 was this big gaming convention. It was in LA. And you know what it was? You know, it was Comic-Con for video games.
Right.
You guys have both, you've been to Comic-Con. So it was Comic-Con for video games. And I love Comic-Con. So I loved E3. And you get to play all the new games. And there'd be all kinds of like big reveals. And like the early version of all the VR that's out now, you could play all those games. And then they would just do these big kind of, announcements where they would show gameplay. And I don't know. I was a really nerdy kid. I love the nerd community. Like we were all nerds before that was a cool thing to be, Seth Green always said you can't call yourself a nerd if you didn't spend a significant amount of your childhood playing alone.
No, but he's right, man. But he's so right.
I was back behind the schoolhouse with my boombox and my feelings. You know what I
mean? But he's right. It's like, at least it's cool to be a nerd now. Look at Comic-Con. Look how big it is. I was a nerd back. Look, I remember being in junior high school, and it's a sign of immaturity too, I guess, because if my kid was doing it now, I'd be like, dude, you're in school. I remember being in junior high school with a fucking transformer under my desk, freaking trying to transform it, thinking this is the life.
This is what is going to help me in my
career. This is going to, and then putting it on the table and looking at my buddies when it was done, like, look what I did, and them shaking their heads like, what the is wrong with you?
I had a Donkey Kong. I had a Donkey Kong like LCD handheld game that I begged my dad for, and I would just play that all day long. Play that shit in class. Play that shit on the bus. Wake up and be like at the bus turn around. What a miss stop. You know what I mean? I loved it. it.
I mean, I feel like that's what a nerd is. I feel like a lot of people. I'm going to be controversial here. I feel like just because
Joelle, get ready to cut this out of the show.
I'm prepared.
She's ready. She's dipping the
just got her finger on the button.
I feel like just because you in the cosplay don't necessarily mean you a nerd.
Are you gatekeeping nerdom?
Just because you in the cosplay don't mean you in the cause.
No.
Wait, why is it controversial what you're saying? Just because you're in the cosplay, what?
He's just saying like some people are posing. Some people are posing as nerds.
Got it.
But what's great about that community, or what can be great about it, and it can be just as gatekeeping as any other community, is that like, for a lot of the people that come there, this is their connection with the world. And sometimes it's their only connection. And when we would do Comic-Con for Archer, we would do a signing every year. And, people have been waiting in line and they spent all this money and they traveled across the country. And I would say, how is your day? How's your con? And they would go, this is the greatest day of my life. And to be a part of that, to have some little tiny aspect of like what I do and what the crew does be a part of like making someone's day. That I'm sure you guys have had that experience where someone's like, you know, I love your show. This is so insane, but like I watched your show with my dad when he was dying in the hospital. Like that was our way to laugh and to get some catharsis. Like, you know, we're not curing cancer. Well, you know what I mean? And I don't think of it as being as lofty as anything, you know, like saving lives, but it is a way that people connect and that they come together. And we're so isolated, increasingly isolated as human beings. And so, you know, to do a show like Archer, or to have a thing like Comic-Con or a show like Scrubs where people really connect to it and it makes them feel connected to the larger world, I think it's special.
Absolutely. And
I love dorks.
I think
yeah, man.
Go ahead,
I was
Joelle.
going to ask if I could ask.
I know Joelle's been holding a lot in. Go ahead, Joelle.
You can go as far as you go.
Aisha, I feel like you and Joelle would be best friends, but go ahead.
We already are.
I feel it. If I say Black Girl Nerds or BGN, do you know what that is? Do you remember them on Twitter, maybe?
Yeah, but I think also like they have like a website because I feel like they've interviewed me a bunch. Like at Comic-Con and since,
my first job in California was I worked at Black Girl Nerds. It was my first.
My person had the memory of a drop toddler, but that's so great. It's good to see you again.
We were a large team. I think we maybe had done our show like 3 or 4 times, but it was my first gig when I got to LA. I saw a post on Twitter that was just like, "Hey, have you any kind of knowledge about movies, and are you prepared to write about them?" I had just come out of film school. I was like, I could write an essay, no problem. So they hired me, and then because I was in LA, I was getting all these opportunities to go spaces and interview and talk to people. But when I was trying to explain to my parents what I was doing, I was so glad you were out there in the world because I could point to you. I'd be like, okay, so this is Aisha Tyler. She hosts at E3. Like, she's a Black woman in the nerd space, and she's making like money and getting gigs, and I will be able to do that eventually too. And it was so wonderful just to have see somebody who's out there working, and then on top of that, to see how you've given back to your like the different fandoms. I really like watching your career because, you know, you mentioned you were like a call-in select, but I feel like everywhere you go, your fans are just like, okay, Aisha's here. We're holding down the fort. Like, what do we need to do to make sure Aisha stays on the show or that the show stays on the air? Like, we love her. And so we've just been this icon. Like,
you do have quite a fan base, Aisha, it seems to me.
One thing, first of all, thank you, both of you, and thank you, Joelle. And one thing I will say that I think you guys can probably really connect with is like, especially if you're not a part of predominant community, you know, you're not allowed to be unusual. You're not allowed to be like neurodiverse. You know what I mean? Like it's like, you know, people really want to tell you, this is how Black people act. This is what they like. This is the food that they eat. These are the shows that they watch. And if you're anywhere outside of that like tiny circle at the center of a Venn diagram, you feel completely excluded. So like a lot of these communities and these conversations for me have been a way to validate people who feel like they don't fit. Like when I was a kid, you know, people were like, Black people don't skateboard. Black people don't listen to heavy metal. Black people don't like punk rock. And I was like, well, watch me skate and listen to punk rock and fucking go to a Metallica concert and you can suck my dick. Because I hated being told what I liked, what I was allowed to do, who I was allowed to be. And I feel like so much of like the blurred, like the whole blurred community and that ethos is like, be who you are and embrace, don't let people gatekeep you. And I think that applies to anyone, anywhere, like just to be able to live your life and be self-actualized in your own way. You know what I mean? Like, for example, Donald and all of his tiny figurines behind him looking like 40-year-old version. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yo, for
he's
real,
my favorite
like,
blurred.
Well, we started the word blurred, bro, on Scrubs. That came from us, bro, straight up. And then
I don't know that's true, but I'm going to give it to you right now.
I put it 100. It is because Zach would always be like, when we would do scenes, it would be like Blaction and stuff like that. And blurred was one of the things. He's a blurred, and then we listen, people might have been saying it before that, but I promise you.
Just give it to him, Aisha. Just give it to him.
I gave it to him. I mean, people probably were saying it before that because I'm older than you, but I'm going to give it to you anyway because I want you to win.
Aisha, how old are you?
She can't. You don't ask a late.
I'm 53.
Oh my God.
I would never have guessed.
Audience, I am not allowed. Audience, I bet you get carded. I bet you get carded.
I was trying to trump your ass just now, and I fucking could not.
Yo, listen, you can Google it. You can Google it, so it's not like it's a secret.
Wow. Are you married?
You know, just no.
And are you
just
single and dating?
I was married.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just hoarding my money.
Okay. Are you over it? Are you just over the dating scene?
I have no interest in that. I literally could not even imagine going on a dating app. Like I have friends that are on those apps right now, and I'm like, if you're on the app, okay, I'm going to be controversial, Joelle, so get ready.
Right.
If you are on an app to catch some dick, God bless you. Go at it. That's what those apps are for. Catch as much D as you possibly can. Both hands, mouth open, catch that D.
Right.
If you're trying to get in a relationship, that is not the place. It's just not the place. Nobody on there is serious about anything but getting laid. And
You think the women as well? Wait, so
100%
you
ladies are on there to catch dick. Yes.
They just want
everybody
the
on
D.
there to catch some dick. Yep.
Okay, catching dick. We're gonna need
But
that for the
otherwise,
soundboard.
no, absolutely not. Because just nobody on there is serious. And they're so finicky and fickle and horrible and exploitative. You can't trust anybody. Remember when Ben Affleck was on Raya, and then that he matched with that girl, and she didn't think he was real, so she swiped him out, and then he went on and he told her, "Hey, it's really me," and she just put his shit on the internet. That's not none of those things. Raya is supposed to be like a private, safe space, and she blew him up. So there's no place is safe. No, absolutely.
So are
not.
you you don't if someone sets you up, you wouldn't go on a date?
You got to set me up with like Jeremy Renner or something like that. Otherwise, I'm not
Jeremy
interested.
Renner. All right. She wants A-list, Donald.
That's it. Don't be bringing me your cousin who just moved here from Poughkeepsie.
She wants an Avenger.
Well, I get it. She wants an Avenger.
I will also take anybody from the DC universe.
Okay, she's also open to the DC.
She
doesn't. She's not prejudiced against the DC universe.
Marvel. I'm actually a DC girl. I'm a DC girl. I'm not a Marvel girl.
Here's the question:
What's
sexier, DC or Marvel? What's sexier?
Well, this is unfair. This is really an unfair question.
It so is, isn't it?
Listen, I grew up on DC Comics. I collected DC Comics. I am a DC girl. And I honestly am also a Snyder stan, so we can get into that if you want to.
Oh, wow. I'm not going to get into it because I don't want the hate mail, but okay.
I have a whole Reddit where I argued with someone for like 8 pages over Batman versus Superman and why it was such a great film. So I will go.
You're a great guest.
But here's what I will say. Marvel is funnier, DC is sexier. But the problem is, like, you want to bone DC, but you probably want to marry Marvel. Do you know what I mean? Because like Marvel's going to make you laugh, and you just can't bone all day long. Somebody has to take out the trash. You know what I mean? So probably it's like if it was fuck, marry, kill. Fuck DC, marry Avengers, kill.
If you were going to catch D, you'd want it from DC, is what you're saying.
That's correct. Oh, well done, Zach.
Thank you.
Let's go out here and catch this DC.
Yeah. You're going to go catch some D.
What comic book are we? Whose comic books are we killing? No.
But you can't. I mean, anybody who can get a comic book out. Period.
Nobody. What'd you say, Joel? Who are we killing?
I don't have to kill anybody.
No, you have to cut yourself.
She doesn't want to say it.
Joelle's going to have to cut herself.
We'll talk about it on the break.
Joel's about to be like, we going to cut that part where I said.
Yeah. Joelle, it's rare that Joelle has to cut something she said. That's what's great about this.
That's what rarely gets
yes.
All right, lastly,
you tested my nerd food just now.
Lastly, we should promote your show, right? Because you have a show.
I have a show.
Criminal Minds.
I have a show, and I'm also promoting my new cocktail line. So I'll talk about both of those
things. Tell us about it.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, yeah. So, I'll talk about the cocktail line first. Yeah. So, I'm a big cocktail fan. I love cocktails. And I launched just 2 months ago. It's only 2 months old. She's a baby. A brand new line of organic, ready-to-drink cocktails. They're super premium. So the first one is a margarita. It's clarified. It only has 3 ingredients. 100% Blue Weber, agave, Blanco tequila, organic triple sec, and organic lime. It is the greatest ready-to-drink margarita ever. It's called Losophe, like philosophy. And
Losophe. Okay, and it's ready-made. So you
just open the bottle, pour it in a glass, put it in your face.
And do you do a Moscow Mule?
Not yet. We're just doing a margarita. The margarita is the #1 cocktail in the world. It is the most known cocktail in the United States.
Where can
Losophe.
you find?
Losophe.com, LOSOPHE.com, or come to my socials at Aisha Tyler. You can get it shipped to your house. So no matter where you are in the United States, we will mail you
Losophe. All right, we're going to try that.
How long have you been working on that? How long? Because I know it's a long game. How long?
It was a long game. It took us about 2 or 3 years to come up with this formula. If you go to my Instagram, you will see that I tasted every single ready-to-drink margarita on the market, which was a day that shall live in infamy. And then we hired 3 different citrus PhDs to help us develop this product.
Yeah, Donald and I were curious back in the day about making something, and someone told us, like, unless you're just going to slap your label on something, it's a
hard
long
work, and it was
slog,
expensive.
and it's expensive.
Yeah, but I cared about it. I mean, this is something I love, so and I felt like it was something that the market needed. Again, I'm not curing cancer here,
Right.
but if you've ever had a ready-to-drink margarita, they look like antifreeze and they taste about the same.
Right.
And most of them don't even have tequila in them at all. They have like malt liquor or a neutral grain spirit, and then they add a little bit of tequila flavoring.
Oh.
They sprinkle it in.
And where do you fall on the price point? Are you more of a high end?
We are premium. We're a premium product. The bottle's $40, but there are 12 cocktails in there. So
it's a bottle. You don't buy like one can.
Big ass bottle like this.
Oh wow!
So because it's so delicious, you will drink a bottle in a setting.
Yeah,
like
Donald. That must be good for Donald because he gets woozy.
Better on ice, y'all. Don't freaking get drunk and
don't drink it. It's foolproof. It's not like a 6%. It's not like a beer. It's a real margarita. So pour it over some ice. Enjoy responsibly. People listening to your show are adults. I hope.
Yes. Well, we occasionally hear stories. Too. We occasionally, even though the show is mostly this has been a pretty tame episode.
Good. I thought I was being naughty.
No. We've had Donald has made us talk about dirty shit. And
why are you blaming it all on you, Donald?
No, because we
occasionally
they make the mistake
we heard
of having sex therapists.
Oh, that's the best. We had a sex therapist on.
Penis doctors.
Aisha, you should come back for the sex therapist, and you probably have good questions for her. She's amazing.
She was a penis doctor?
No, she's a sex therapist, and she wrote these guides, everything you need to know about the vagina, penis, and anus.
And then that's a really specific title.
Well, no, they were separate guides. There was penis, there was vagina, there was anus.
I mean, like you can't pick the book up and be like, what is this about? I don't quite get it. I'm not. What's the subtext of this title? What will I learn if
By the way, I bet we sold a lot of those guides for that woman because people came up to me on the street like, I bought anus.
That is against the law. You cannot buy anus. If someone offers you anus on the street, go the other way. Only conduct your anus transactions online or in an app, please, for your protection.
All right.
Joelle is cutting this.
No, Joelle doesn't mind sex talk.
This makes the show.
Yeah, Joelle allows us to talk about sex. She just doesn't allow us to talk about controversial topics.
The whole thing,
I love the most controversial topic was whether I was going to fuck the DC universe or not.
Yeah, no, we'll keep that. That was good stuff.
She's like, we don't want to anger Reddit.
No, they're going to love that. All right, Aisha, tell us about Criminal Minds because this show's been going on a long time, but this is like a spin-off or what?
No, it's a continuation essentially. So we were for 15 seasons on CBS, and then
how many seasons did you do?
I did 5. So I joined in season 11 and did 11 through 15.
Okay.
And then the show ended there. And then I think almost immediately they were like, wait a minute. And so I think the show went off the air like in April of 2020. And then in September of 2020, we were talking about bringing it back.
Wow.
So it moved to Paramount Plus. And go ahead. You have a question.
Why do you have to raise your hand? It's your show.
Because I don't want to interrupt you.
Nice.
I interrupt you, everybody, so much. I don't want to do that. Anyway,
he's been listening to the comments.
Well, are there comments?
No, we don't read the comments.
What was your question?
Did it get canceled because of COVID? Because it wasn't a bad show. You know what I mean? It was still doing well. You know, I know television ratings aren't what they used to be, but
right.
But,
I mean, if I had to guess, and I don't know what the thinking was. If I had to guess, it was 15 years of a show. All those primetime procedurals, were on the part of the global downward trend of all primetime television. And I think they were like, the show's been on for 15 years. Let's see if we can try something new. And then I think they were like, wait a minute, that's a massive global hit. That probably wasn't the best move. During COVID, it was the most streamed show. Like, before this was phenomenon, we were the most streamed show, like globally for all of 2020. So I just think they saw those numbers specifically and were like, oh my God, maybe we shouldn't have let that show go. It was, you know what I mean? We weren't looking at all the metrics when we decided to let it go.
Do you shoot it in LA?
We shoot in LA, yeah.
That's luxury.
We're just about to start shooting season 3 of Criminal Minds Evolution, which is season 18 of the show. And honestly, this last season, season 17, was the best season of that show, period.
Well, if you need 2 corpses, Donald and I would love to come.
You're all too sexy to be corpses.
No, I would love to be a corpse. I'd be honored.
I'm not sexy
Donald
enough
is not interested.
I'm not sexy enough to be a corpse.
Wait,
if I got to take my shirt off,
listen.
I got to take my shirt off on television. I don't want to do that.
Well, we can say that you drowned. You were drowned and you bloated by the water.
Oh, the
there we go.
cruelty! The
There we
cruelty
go.
inside this
I like
podcast.
that. I like
the
that.
savagery.
I like that.
I'm volunteering.
it's so
Please tell
great.
your showrunner that Donald and I would love to be corpses on Criminal
If
Minds.
you guys could be like twin corpses or best
No, we just want to. You find us in
or
the dirt.
lovers, like lovers.
No, yeah,
that
you find us in the
drowned
dirt
kind of
holding
in
hands.
in a class. Yeah, it's exactly like that.
I love it. Face down in the dirt. No. Oh, no. I thought face down in the dirt holding hands was better, but okay.
It's beautiful.
Face down in the dirt holding hands, sure. Or I would think just spooning, like we knew the apocalypse was coming, so we drank arsenic.
One hand on the other's face tenderly.
All right,
that's beautiful.
Aisha, we've kept you long enough. Thank you. You're so funny, and you're a great guest.
Oh my God, guys, this was so lovely. I love seeing your little faces. I feel like the COVID made everything the before times, and like you have friends that used to see all the time. You used to see them out or at Comic-Con or whatever. And I feel like I've seen Donald within the last maybe 5 years, but I don't feel like I've seen you.
The last time I saw you, I have
podcast.
a picture. I have a picture of us I posted a picture on Instagram the last time I saw you.
Wow.
It's actually saved under cool people I know. Some shit, in the circles. The thing like that.
That's so lame that you did that.
You're a fucking dick, Zach. You're a dick. Dude, you're Zach. You should go out and catch some dick, dude. You fucking asshole.
Really should.
You fucking asshole.
You know, Aisha, we have a sound machine, and this is one of the things on the
There better be a
pads.
fart noise.
Eat these balls, Zach. Eat these balls, Zach.
Yeah.
That's real.
I like it though because it had a lot of flair. Like
here's another one.
Wu-Tang forever. Wu-Tang forever.
Have you guys considered mixing everything into some kind of like hip hop supercut?
We need DJ Daniel to do that.
That's what Daniel does.
Daniel, why don't you make a big bop?
Right?
You know, it'd be amazing if you did that, what she just said, and used all our sounds, and then it became like the bop of the summer. It was bigger than They Not Like Us.
That's
They
impossible.
Not Like Us.
It's impossible.
Nothing is ever going to be bigger than They Like Us. I
impossible.
bet you could beat the margarita song. One margarita, I'm a catch a D. I got two margaritas, I'm a catch these D's. So I'm just saying, you could probably beat that song.
I wanted to say there was a video I saw, I don't know if it's for the Olympics or something, but they were playing They Not Like Us, and Steph Curry says to LeBron, "Oh, I'm so sick of this song." And LeBron goes, "What? I love it." That was just like a caught on a hot. It was like caught on a hot mic. And LeBron said something like, "There are other songs, so I always got to play this song."
That song is when we are old, that is going to be played in like fine dining restaurants. Because like right now, if you go to like a white tablecloth restaurant, all they play is Biggie. Like I'm like, is this Biggie and Tupac in this Michelin star French joint? So we'll be hearing They Not Like Us for the rest of
It'll be like an
my
instrumental of They Not Like Us on the piano.
I knew it was a problem when they start showing these little kids at their little dance parties.
I saw that video. All the little girls. It was just girls.
All the little girls. And then now, and probably a minor.
I'm gonna go crazy. Now I know we have to go.
Oh my gosh.
I know we have to go, but I just have to say this. I was taking my mom to like an art exhibit and with a buddy of mine. And so in the car, my buddy just played the whole beef for my mom. So my mom, she's almost 80. She likes jazz. She's very hip. Mom got a tattoo sleeve. So mom is cool, but like she's not a hip hop fan. And he played the whole beef like in succession. And my mom goes, "Well, Kendrick Lamar obviously won this." Clearly. So there you have it, Kendrick. Mama says he won the beef.
That's funny. I need someone to walk me through it one day.
It's very enjoyable, and the insults are just almost as savage as the stuff that's been thrown back and forth on this call.
All right.
Any politician, it's as savage as that. How about that? That's what
it's as savage as that.
All right. Check out Losophe and Criminal Minds. And Aisha, thank you. You're such a great guest.
Oh, it was such a pleasure. It's so nice to see your little faces.
What a great guest.
Holy cow.
She's so funny. She touched on so many topics. Joelle, I think that may be one of your favorite guests.
Aisha Tyler's definitely an icon. Like she had my job before I had my job, and she just paved a way for a lot of us to be able to do
I was about to say, she's the original, man.
Amazing.
That's the blueprint. That's the blueprint. sincerely, bro, when nobody else was doing it, it was her first. She was the first one to.
And she took a lot of slack for it. Like she had to deal with a lot of.
I feel like I remember her
things.
getting in a lot of Twitter beefs because people didn't like a black woman covering video games, right, Joelle? Wasn't that a thing?
That's exactly it.
And they were calling her. They were calling her a poser, and she was like, "What? I've been playing video games since I was a little kid." Like I remember that.
Yeah,
she's the OG. Like for real. I don't think there's anybody. I can't name anybody before her, but maybe because they didn't get as famous as.
I say not with the spotlight like she had.
Yeah,
that was funny. The second she realized we were like an R-rated podcast, she started loosening up. I kind of want to do another interview with her, knowing that she can say whatever the fuck she wants to say. Because all of a sudden she's talking about catching D, and I was like, okay, let's go.
Well, she's our cup of tea. You know what I mean? She said something she said something interesting. You know what I mean? Because this is how a lot of us learned how to act when we didn't take classes and we weren't, you know what I mean? Television and studying, you know what I mean? Her craft was, I'm going to go be funny on stage. And then after being funny on stage, I'm going to go and watch what I think is, I'm going to watch something that's going to put me to sleep that entertains me. And in doing so, she was able to, I'm not going to say mimic, but she was able to say, I could tell one of those jokes. I know how to tell those jokes. And that's something that a lot of actors study. Look, I posted this shit on Instagram. I know it sounds really douchey for me to say that shit, but Brendan Fraser talks about, he gives advice to actors and what it takes to be an actor. And right now it's really, 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 really hard to be an actor. You know what I mean? And I just think if you just listen to what he says, it's beautiful and it's also very true.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, what do you got going on this weekend? You going to a basketball tournament in Anaheim?
I am.
Okay. Well, have fun.
Go team.
I'll just be sitting at my house catching D's.
You got that lovely garden, Zach. You were picking berries the other day.
All right. We love you guys. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Stories about a show we made about a bunch of docs and nurses